This is Rose McGowan on the Core94.com.
Welcome to another episode of the Quarantine Chronicles. I'm your host, DG Bags, and today we have a super gift. I'm talking about an activist, a filmmaker, a musician, and I'm truly honored to have her on. I'm talking Miss Rose McGowan. How are you?
Hi, love. Thank you so much for having me on your Quarantine Chronicles and for that awesome introduction. My heart feels really warm. Thank you.
You're welcome. So where are you located right now?
I'm in Mexico, stuck in a room with a barking dog that you may or may not hear throughout this call. She's trying desperately to escape the room I'm in right now, so we're just gonna have to deal with little Pearl making some noise.
The following episode of the Quarantine Chronicles is brought to you by Citizen Pilates, where the mission is inclusivity. We bring fitness to everyone. www.citizenpilates.com or at Citizen Pilates on Instagram and Facebook.
I'm in Mexico, honestly, because I got sent to America when I was 10, and from Italy, and I didn't speak English, and they changed my name from Rosa to Rose, and I got sent to kind of a school and a military base, and I've done my time. And it breaks my heart what's going on, but it's necessary. It's necessary.
And it really hits close to home, not for me just because I'm Black and I'm from America, but I'm from Houston, Texas, and Floyd is really from the neighborhood that I grew up in or that I stayed in for a while. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
it's a crazy situation. It hits really different. It's right after the pandemic. We already have a lot of things that's going on crazy. It's just on top of things, on top of things. And I think what it's doing is testing our humanity, and it's testing our courage. And the strong will survive. It's going to bring out the best in people, and it's going to get rid of the worst.
I think you're completely right. I think it's a massive cultural reset that needs to happen. My heart goes out to his kids.
Mhm.
And they're the kids right now, like coming out of coronavirus quarantine or being still in it, and then hearing helicopters, hearing explosions, hearing guns, and hearing fights and marches. This is going to be PTSD. This is going to be war trauma for these kids, right? And for a
Yeah.
lot of people. And it sucks to be stuck in the crosshairs of time and change. It sucks to be the one. Like, it sucked to be the one in the Black Plague. It sucked to be the one during this time or that time. Like, we could have gone 200 years without any of this stuff, like coronavirus or any of that, like some countries, right? But not
Right.
us. And this is my first paper that I turned in at school when I moved to the US, when I got sent to that military school, the question was essentially like, what makes America the greatest country on earth?
Mm.
And I got an F on my answer, but I thought that was good, so I was proud of it. But whatever. I said nothing. You are a Native American burial ground, and you built your White House off the back of slaves, and you expect them to raise their hand to their hearts? Are you kidding me? And that's and I stand by that. I got an F on that paper, and I was like, I don't care. I'm right. And my teachers, I heard them one day say they were going to get the communists out of me, to which I replied, Italians were fascists, stupid. So for me, it's always been like this cultural war of conformity in America. You must conform. And I'm like, why? Your system is fucked. Bleep me. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Your system is
Oh, you're
not
good.
right. Your system is sick. Your system
Absolutely.
hurts people. Your system kills people, because what's obviously and clearly going on with police killing and anybody killing unarmed or armed Black men and women and children for how long now? This is a slow mass murder.
Right.
This is not like one-offs, obviously. This is like mass murder if you stuck it all together. But they don't talk about it like that. They don't frame it that way. They keep framing it. And the problem, really honestly, in my opinion, is the northern liberal media, because your enemy in the South. Your
Mm-hmm.
enemy on Fox. Your enemy. They're there. It's the other ones. It's the lady in Central Park. She probably votes Democrat. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Am I
Absolutely.
hijacking this conversation, by the way? You tell me
No,
what you want to
no,
talk about.
no. Miss McGowan, this is your interview. Like, please, they don't care about me. We want to know what you have to
I
say.
care
Like,
about you.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
And it sucks to be the ones that are getting hurt in this, or but property is not worth lives. Not. It's just not, at the end of the day. And if that's your value system is messed up. Because we've all seen, I was in the LA riots in '92. It
Wow.
gets rebuilt. It hurts, and it's going to screw up a lot of lives. Yes, it will, but for the greater good. There are some things and certain entities and structures, power structures, that need to be burnt down. And it's white people in America and white people in general that need to unpack racism. It is not a person of color's job to explain it. It is for the white person to understand what and unpack like what is native to your brain and what has been implanted into you by generational intolerance and racism and bullshit and
Mhm.
power structure. It's just literally, for me personally, after putting Harvey Weinstein in jail and having a hand in that, part of my activism is I feel like I have a 350-pound man's foot off the back of my neck for the first time in 22 years. So if I can stand it for 22 years, how many centuries have you been dealing with it?
Wow. You put
Do you
that
know what I
beautifully.
mean?
You put that beautifully. Absolutely. That's the
And you
greatest
feel
analogy
that
ever.
foot on your neck and
Hmm.
you're like, get off. I want to live a free life. Get off. I deserve a free life. Back up, dog.
Hmm. Well, how
It's
did you?
and it hurts
Mhm.
what's going on, but it's also, it's just like it needs to be cleansed. I hate it,
It's
even though I hate to
necessary.
say it. It's just necessary, and sometimes you have to turn to ash to be the phoenix that rises. And you are right, the ones that are the true phoenixes will rise from this. They will.
Mhm.
And the people that need to go, we've been waiting for them to go for a very long time. So I say keep going, keep fighting, keep marching, keep pushing, keep doing exactly what you have to do, because you have the power. Take the reins.
Mhm.
Burn
You're
it down,
absolutely
raise it
right.
up.
Absolutely right. I heard someone say it's not enough right now to not be racist. You have to be anti-racism.
That's Angela Davis, the activist, that said that. And
Okay.
she's
Okay.
incredible. She's an incredible human, and got really messed over by the system. And she's a fierce warrior for good. And she's an African American activist who said, it's not enough to be. You have to be actively working against it. If you hear someone say something, why would you say that? I make them unpack it. I just look at people and go, why would you say that? And they're
Hmm.
like, what? And I'm like, why would you, like, whether it's like a sexual harassment thing or it's a race thing or something, I'm like, why? And they're like, yeah, why did I say that? I'm like, yeah, you do the work and unpack that. It's not my job to sit here and tell you why you're wrong. It's my job to question you and be like, figure it out yourself, because you are wrong and you know it. Now dig deeper and work it out, because we don't have time, because people are dying. Like, we don't have time for stupidity right now. We don't have time for lies. We don't have time for the system, because people are dying. And it's intense, but it's necessary. And I believe that with all my heart.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And I want to talk about Planet Nine. I've listened to that album like four
Yeah.
times, four times, and it gives me such a Portishead, Bjork, Depeche Mode, Nine Inch Nails. It's just such a
Yes.
great fucking album. It's so needed. I listen to it over and over. Now I've heard that you said you're not gonna do any performance on it, but you being an actress and knowing what the visual does with the colors and the schemes, like it gives me colors when I see beautiful
But
colors.
if that's your planet, I put 8 songs on that album, because the
Mhm.
ninth one is for your mind to create. The ninth song is your image to create. Because when I was 10, I used to imagine the origin of Planet Nine is I used to imagine this planet coming out of the ceiling when I was in military school. And when I got to America and I was so freaked out, it was really traumatic. And so I put this planet around me, and like you, I would wonder, what is the light? What do these lights look like? What does the sound like? All these frequencies. And then, like, astronomers 6 years ago found Planet Nine. It's what made Pluto not a planet. And
Right, that's right.
what was yeah. And I was like, what? And I had the thought, I need to make music for this planet, logically. And so what was amazing was just like getting to work with, and you nailed the Trent Reznor thing, because my sound mixer, I used 2 different sound mixers for the album, one of which is Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who did Girl with a Dragon Tattoo and Social Network, and those scores and the sound detail design them was incredible. And I wanted a really cinematic sound. And then for Cyrene and Now
Mhm.
You're Here, I used Stuart White, who's Beyonce's mixer, because I wanted bangers from outer space. And so I got those, right? But it flows. It's a concept album. So it starts at the beginning. You don't always have to listen to it all together, but it really is an arc. And it's an
Right.
emotional arc, and it's to let you. But I have to tell you, I've shot visuals for the whole thing. This goes with visuals, and my goal is to bring art and sound outside of museum and gallery walls. Charge $5, have a traveling dome like planetarium style. The visuals will be projected all over the ceiling with people on their backs and 360-degree sound. And that's going to be immersive and not VR, because I did it all like film style. I didn't do it with CGI. There's no computers, but people think it is, but you can do that with film tricks. I come from the film world. That's how I did it.
Right.
And I can't wait. Right now on YouTube, there's a 2.5-minute preview. You just put in Planet 9 Rose McGowan. It comes up next to my mugshot. Somebody paid for that on YouTube, by the way. So that's nice. If you Google Planet 9 and my name, the mugshot is there. I'm like, thanks, jerks. Because I have bad guys that do nice things like that to me. Nice. But Planet 9 for me is really like, there's that one track, Lonely House, and I say, are you lonely on your planet? Are you lonely on the fringe? Who am I? I stand for all. I stand for pride. I stand for strength. I stand for mine, for women who can't, and men too scared to beat that beast, to watch him drown. The him I speak of needs to die. The him I speak of told you lies of original sin and dirty whores. But it's not true and never fair. Think who wins when you're quiet. So then it goes from there into like that space opera.
Mm. And it's so beautiful too. And I always think every great album has that one song that's over 6 minutes long, like Green Gold. You know what I mean? I was like,
Yes.
yeah, you killed
Green
it. You
Gold,
nailed it.
yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you killed it.
It was really, have you ever heard of the band Air? It's
Yes,
a French electronic. So Air, they did like some
I like
great, like they did
Phoenix
a lot
and
of,
yeah,
yeah, exactly, in that
right,
world.
right.
And so the pianist for Air heard my song RM486, which is like the beta version of Green Gold, because there's two
Hmm.
versions of it. So I had a
Hmm.
fast version, and then I had this beautiful piano laid under it, because the guy, I've never met him, he just heard it and he was inspired to do that. So I didn't know what to do. So I layered it together as one long soundscape. It starts with this beautiful piano and space music, starts with the Blade Runner dialogue, right? I've seen
Hmm.
things you people can't imagine. Attack ships on fire at the shoulder of Orion. I watch sea beams glitter in the dark. And all these moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die. And then the song starts singing from there. But then I layer it like into the fast version. And I made that
Hmm.
song originally because I raced my car at night outside of LA on a track. And I needed something to make me feel like I was a foot off the ground at night. I needed music to match that spiritual feeling. Like, what if you were the hood ornament, right? And you had like just your face is being blown back by the wind. Like, what musically could I make sound like that?
And it does. It gives you. It is a arc of emotion. It gives you happiness. It gives you. It makes you think. It makes you concentrate. I mean, it even puts you in a loving mood. You know what I mean? Like
Yes,
it's
it
just great.
does. Origami.
Yes. Yeah. Oregon.
And it
How did
makes
you
your
know that?
origami is definitely a loving mood. That's my little naughty song. It makes me laugh. I was like, we need like there's not that many songs for like kind of having kind of like what if you were I was thinking one night, of course I was smoking weed in California, and I was thinking of stars and how they reproduce at a rapid rate, and I was like, what if someone made them a song for like Barry White but for stars? That was my thought on
Mm,
that one. Not sounding like Barry White, but for smooth love, you know what I mean?
right,
But up in the
right, right.
stars. Admittedly, sometimes my mind is a little weird. I think of strange connections. But I was like, well, I'm going to make the stars a really beautiful song to make love to. Why not? And it works on people too. And it's origami that shit, baby. Which I'm going to put on a
Mm.
t-shirt, origami that shit, baby.
Oh, that's it right there. Merch, merch, merch.
Merch, merch, merch. Work, work, work.
And you know, a hit record off the muscle is Now You're Here. That is a hit record.
That's a jam. Will you
It's
play that
it's
for me on the station? Can you
oh,
do that? Are you allowed
it's
to?
already it's already coming in rotation. It's already going in rotation.
You're my
For sure.
first. I love you. Cause it's the
Oh,
lyrics to that are you're my first baby. Thank you. I that makes me feel so good. And I don't you see at one point a rap on it? I see a remix with I hear that breakdown. And but it's really like now you're here, now you're and then like it's got a bass on that one that's like so Boots who came in to do some of the bass and the drums on it. He produced some
hmm
of Lemonade, but all of Beyonce's Beyonce.
hmm
And so he just does this, and he's Cuban, and he gets this like sound for like it's like
mm.
something not to be a weirdo, but like kind of more American producers don't get this kind of rolling sound in your pelvis region, right? And now
Right,
you're here
right.
on big speakers, like hearing that, like is it's a monster. It's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And you just saying a remix, and I would love to hop on that remix.
Oh my
I
God,
would
I can get you
love
the
to.
stems. I can get you the stems.
Oh
I
yes,
would
absolutely,
love for you to do that. Oh my God. Oh my God. My brain is
absolutely.
flipping out.
It would be
Sometimes people
amazing.
call themselves DJs, but that's just because they talk on the radio. But you're like
Mm,
real.
yeah. Oh yeah, I gets busy. I gets busy, and I've
You
been a
get
huge fan of
down.
yours forever. Yeah, I do. Like I said, I've been a huge fan of yours since everything, like since way back in the day. I didn't know that you use charm to as a part of your mission. You know what I'm saying, to take Harvey Weinstein down. Like I respect you on so many levels, like your mental, like to make a plan, and then you telling me the things that your mind state when you came to America, the culture shock, and your answers that you had for the test and things like that. You just a great being. You know what I mean? Like you're so inspirational. Like I think that's why I wanted to interview you. I think more people should know more about you because, of course, we honor you for the things that you did on the film. Like, of course, we love Planet Terror. Of course, we love Jawbreaker, all those great things you did. You know what I mean? Charm, etc. But the person you are so much exceeds that, and that says so much because your body of work is fantastic. And I just want to give you your flowers while you're still here. And me being black and what's going on with us right now, that's encouraging. You know what I mean? Because to
It
take Harvey
is.
Weinstein was a powerhouse. That was what we call Debo. You know what I mean?
He was
And you did it.
protected by the Democratic Party. I deboed him.
Wow. Why? No, he was Debo. He was,
So what's
everybody was
debo?
afraid.
Yeah,
There's a movie,
everybody's afraid of him. He was a monster.
right? There's a movie called Friday, and Tiny Zeus Lister
Oh
was like
yeah.
the bully.
Oh
Yeah,
yes, Debo. Yes, yes,
Debo.
yes, yes, yes. Friday. Yeah, you're right. He is a Debo, that douche. Um,
Right, right.
but the thing was, is like, it was like kind of like I look at, I get asked a lot to like support this Democrat or that Democrat, and I'm like, why? What have they done for poor Black people? What have they done even for poor white people? They've kept them undereducated. The Republicans do that to them. But on
Mm,
the other side of it, like, I don't believe I don't believe anybody, honestly, that's white, that's born in that system and is in that system of power structure can actually do something without a leader coming forth and burning it down and starting it over. And I don't know how that's going to be achieved, but I know it needs to happen. And my number one thing I could say to people is America is not the world. It is not the world. It's a very different place out there. And a lot of people think, traveling is like thousands of dollars or going on a Disney cruise. It's not. They tell people in America, America's number one, don't travel. It's not. It's a lie. It's number 27 in education. It's number 54 in free speech and papers and in press. It's not, no, it's number one in military might. That's it. But what has that military done for us in the coronavirus? What has that military done for poor people? What is it? My mom was on food stamps, and I would go to church for powdered milk and get the brick of cheese, and I saw her shame when we had to pay, and people would look down at us because she had 6 kids. And then she put herself through school and she dragged herself up, and us in with her, I guess. But it was she was a nighttime cocktail waitress at the Hilton Airport, and I wonder, thinking of how many hands gross businessmen grabbed her every night. It was the 80s. Like, there's no stopping
mm,
this stuff. And then the humiliation of being a woman with a lot of kids, they look down on you, that kind of thing. So I've seen how society treats pretty much single mothers like everybody, and I'm like, back the fuck up, because it's you system like people are the problem. I was talking to Joe Biden. Joe Biden's campaign manager followed me. I guess I followed him first because I thought he was someone else, actually. I thought he was the head of Sundance. It turned out he was Joe Biden's campaign manager. And I go after Joe Biden a lot because I'm like, F you, you alleged rapist. That's what I'm saying on that and other things. And he put, these people, these Democrats let prisons be privatized. This is all corporation and they run it. And it's behind the scenes. I was a lobbyist in DC volunteering. They're all friends. They're all backslapping each other.
Wow.
It's like mind-boggling. What you see on the surface, how you see them is not behind the scenes. They might not like Trump, but the rest of them, tight. There are exceptions, but the rule, and for me, I get asked, like, are you going to vote Democrat? And I'm like, well, I don't live in the country. And I can't, because I really live by that distillation of the Malcolm X passage, which is give me a Southern racist over a Northern liberal. I know if you have a red hat on, I don't like you, but I know that. You're not hiding in a nice, you're not pretending. And I'm not saying everyone liberals, it's not covert racism. It's deeper. Intellectualized racism is deeper and it's scarier. It's not as thuggish, but it'll get you in the long run. It'll keep you in the power system and it'll keep that foot on your neck. It's coming from both sides. And that's what needs to be broken. That system of thought needs to be broken. Really, we should just elect Killer Mike as president, get it over with.
Say that. Agreed. Killer Mike for president.
Killer Mike for president.
Miss McGowan, you were in a position of power that we would think, or she's in movies, she does this, such and such, and they don't know how vulnerable and how low you were on the totem pole. What do you say to women who's every day going through the same things that your mother went through and that are afraid to speak out? Or what are some of the steps that you think they should take or can take to tell their truths and save themselves and other women that are afraid to speak?
Well, first of all, the one thing I could recommend is, and this is hard for me because I've only worked in movies except for when I was 14, worked at a funeral home. So I don't know the structure of most jobs, but I can tell you this. If they're doing it to me, somebody who's perceived to like have a fancy life, what are they doing to the woman who's working at McDonald's? What are they doing to the guy who's working at McDonald's? Because it's not just women that get hurt. In this like journey of mine, it's real 50-50. It's pretty much everybody. And if everyone's carrying around these wounds, one of the things people can do just quickly is like tag me on Twitter and tag like a media entity that you want to cover it and write a bit of your story. That's what I can do to amplify it. I would always recommend tagging a media organization with your story. It's very hard to come forward. They destroy you, but you don't have to be destroyed. They almost got me, but they didn't. You know what I mean? But they didn't. And they went to all links, and they do, and they will. But go around the power. Find the one above you. And the thing is like, if we all work in this, it's not just that woman's job. It's her coworker's job. It's the people that see it. That's the team that needs to step forward. Just like it's not Black people that need to unpack racism. They fucking get it.
Right.
It's not Latinos, it's not Asians. It's like, well, maybe they do, but it's really like, it's on, especially in white America, it's in white America's job. But this is the job for the people around to not aid and abet a criminal act. Because the thing that really bothered me more than, this guy was a psycho. Harvey Weinstein obviously is pathological and a sociopath and a psychopath and a prolific rapist. But the thing is, all the people around were complicit. They helped. In their silence, they helped. So if I was the girl at McDonald's, like I would get like, band together as much as you can. I know it's a private pain and it's hard. But if everyone knows, we've all worked at that place, which would be awesome, except for that one piece of rotten trash there. Get rid of the trash and let someone good come in. That's the only way the light's going to come in. I'm writing, and the thing I can also say is bravery. When you're brave, a lot of people think you're naturally born with being just kind of like that. And I was kind of born, to be fair, with a lot of that. But every tweet, every time I punch up against the machine, every time I punched at Weinstein, every time I punched at his machine, my legs were shaking, my knees were shaking. Being brave does not mean you're not scared. It just means you do the brave thing anyway. And if you don't know what the brave thing is, imagine what the best version of you would do in that situation. What would they do? Would they step up? Would they step up? And the answer is you have to, because we're running out of time. We have to step up for each other. It's not just on that person, it's on everybody around to help them, and to help someone that you see being fucked with, basically, by some guy that or girl that gets off on power abuse. It's not okay. Back up. Everybody has their own side of the street to live on. And when someone crosses and hurts you and steals you, no one would be like, oh, was your purse wearing a short skirt? If you got your purse stolen, people have more pity for you than you say you were raped. Because then that goes into this
Mm.
whole thing. Um, and the thing is like, if pretty much everybody's been molested or assaulted, there's a lot of, and nobody owns up to it. On the other
Mm.
side of that, there's a lot of phantom ghost rapists running around. But it's real. So we need to unpack the damage that's done at an early age. There's some people like Weinstein, they're just psychopaths. They can't do anything about it. He's never going to
Mm.
think he's guilty. He's just on his own planet. But his but
Wow.
the lengths he went to rape, and in Northern New York Times or in all these fancy liberal newspapers, they're like, disgraced producer, fallen producer Harvey Weinstein. I'm like, wait a second. If this was a black man, you would be convicted rapist. Convicted rapist. That's what comes before his name. He earned it. Trust me, he earned it off my back. Sorry to be tough, but it's
I
true.
understand. I understand. I
And it's just,
understand.
you talk about this stuff and I get forceful, but it's like we don't have time. If like babies are getting hurt, if children are getting hurt, if people are getting murdered, if people are committing suicide because of this deep pain inside of them, then society has a sickness that it needs to help. And where I saw me coming in was not with Tarana Burke created Me Too, the hashtag. And that's actually a communication tool, and that's very freeing. I could sit next to someone at dinner and be like, me too, and they could say me too. We know our deepest pain. So she freed people
Mhm.
by giving a new vocabulary, right?
Absolutely.
That came out about 2 weeks after the New York Times story that I set up broke on Harvey Weinstein. And so the media, and then I had to go and book tour. So the media called it a movement. And a lot of people were like, you stole Me Too from Tarana Burke. I'm like, you got that backwards. Nobody stole anything. My thing was always a cultural reset. And I formed something called
Mhm.
Rose Army 6 years ago that was about a secret handshake. Do you think differently? I think differently. Right on. Because I was thinking of that army slogan, an army of one. I'm like, nobody has fought for me. I'm going to have to fight for myself. But if I have to fight for myself, I'm going to take a lot of other people up with me. And I'm going to I wanted to show people you can cut off the head of power. You don't just have to bite at the ankles. You can be strategic. Granted, it took me 22 years, but you can like claw your way up and you can like hold on like a cat on a hot tin roof and you can get there.
Yeah. You know, it's like a double-edged sword, if that's what the words I want to use, because the evils of Hollywood, but your life is a movie. Just the journey of taking down a power head, like
Yeah.
that's the ultimate movie. Like, do you think you would do a Rose McGowan like movie or documentary or anything like that?
Well, I did do a documentary called Citizen Rose, and it's a beautiful
Mm-hmm.
documentary. It's 4 episodes, and you can get it on Amazon. And he suppressed it because he had friends at the network it was on, but it's called Citizen Rose, and it's the story of that whole period, like, and it
Right.
happened almost like IRL, like it was happening at the same time they were filming, like, and it was so I only saw the
Whoa.
first episode. The other three I couldn't even watch because it was still happening, and I
Right. It
needed
was
someone
heavy.
to document the craziness that was going on and the links he was going to. There was $1 million bounty on my book Brave, that he placed on it. And so I had an Israeli intelligence firm staffed by the Mossad, which is kind of the armed military and CIA combined in Israel, the gnarliest warriors, right? And spies. And so I had a spy that he hired to infiltrate. My literary agent was secretly working with him. It's bananas. Everybody, my lawyers were secretly working with him. Like, it's just like, I didn't know. It was like and then the woman, and they have me on recording saying, you're the only person I can trust, and she turned out to be a spy that was hired by this company called Black Cube. She was wearing a wire and she would record me at all these different places. And so she got 125 pages of my book. And I find that out in Citizen Rose on camera. Like, it's just a crazy, you're right, it is a movie, but I think it's so many movies but I don't think there's enough
Right.
movie time to make this movie. But maybe a series, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I don't really mess with Hollywood. And it's so
Right.
toxic.
Exactly. That's
It's
the
so
double. That's what I'm
toxic.
saying. It's like wow. It's like
Yeah,
yeah.
but there is
But
world cinema. There's world cinema, and it's not all about
it.
Hollywood cinema. The
Right.
world makes movies too, and
Right.
someday,
Right.
but it's still too close to me. And
Right.
I
Right.
don't. But my 13th year of life would be a great movie. I think
Mm,
that was a
mm.
crazy year. There's different years that I think would make epic movies. This one is so like you almost need a Venn diagram. You need like the red pin with all the string coming out of it going to
Mhm.
connect all the bad guys, and I'm in the center going like like holding on, propelling forward because I wanted to break that glass ceiling of thought.
Mm.
Everyone talks about the glass ceiling thinking it's monetary, but it's thought. Like, what if you can smash it and then everyone comes behind you and just pushes it, like pushes that crack down? I was like, I'm gonna crack you, ceiling,
No, I
crack it
got
up.
one more question. I got one more question before
Sure,
we
babe.
get out of here. Because I've did work in the past with people and that I loved when I did it, but let's say I had a falling out with them or anything like that, and it when I think about my old work, it has like a sourness to it. I can't really enjoy it,
Yeah,
perhaps. Do you go through that with your movies? Like you're like, man, I loved it when I did it, but it reminds me of this, and I can't enjoy this, or I can't, you know even if you look at yourself like, wow, look at me in Jawbreaker. I remember when I was there. And then you think of something like, wow,
right.
I can't watch it. Or does
Yeah.
that happen?
Luckily, Jawbreaker was great, but you're the only
Mhm.
person who's ever asked that. And you're right. And
Oh,
people don't give that kind of feeling respect. They get mad at you if you don't feel fondly about it like they do. Jawbreaker was
right.
a great experience, so we're lucky on that one.
Okay.
Planet Terror lived up to its name, and it was so funny because the end of Planet Terror, I come to Mexico and I'm leading this band of survivors, and that's where I am now. And I'm
Wow.
like, what? And I
Wow.
released an album called Planet Nine. I was like, wait, I was in a movie called Planet Terror, and on a soundtrack too. And I'm like, whoa, mine. I didn't even think about that till like the other night. I was like, mind
Mm,
blown. But it was that one I can't. It was too brutal, it's too brutal what was
mm,
going on behind the scenes, and not. But it's still, I'm proud of it. I'm hella proud. I deserve a Purple Oscar for like what the
mm.
performance I turned in and others turned in, considering what was going on in the set, considering the abusive situation that was going down. And I'm proud of it, and I'm proud when people like it. I'm not mad at people for liking it.
Mm.
Can I personally enjoy it? No, I'm not going to do that because for me it has too much. I understand it's trauma. If you were traumatized by an experience or like have bitterness or anger towards, like I don't like Alyssa Milano, never have. There we go. But I had to protect
Yeah.
children's childhoods for a very long time, and just because I don't like her personally doesn't mean that Paige didn't like Phoebe, her character, you
Right.
know?
Right. Right.
So they're two separate things. And I used to always get asked, do you guys hang out after work? I'm like, what? What are you talking? Like, if I worked at a bank, would you be like, do you hang out with your boss at night? No, I
Right.
go home and I read my
Nobody
lines
hangs
and
with
I
their
work.
coworkers.
No, because you see them quite enough. Thank you. Quite enough. And, but I have a problem with things that are false. I have a problem with false prophets. And I have a problem with people that put a false face towards the world. It's just not necessary, and we don't have time for that anymore. Like, get real, get real now because we have to, and help other people, help others. If you see that girl at McDonald's or that boy at McDonald's being messed with, stand for them, even if it means you might lose your job, even if it means, and I know that in this environment it's really easy to say, but I had to leave everything in Hollywood. I lost my beautiful house. I lost all my furniture, all my clothes. What I own today is my computer, shoes. I have flip flops, tennis shoes, and some clothes, and part of a cemetery. That's what I own. I went a little crazy after my dad died, and I bought a quarter of a cemetery. So someone that he was married to couldn't be buried there. I might be eccentric. I'm
My
not sure.
condolences.
People say that, and I'm like, I don't think so. I think it was a power boss baller move. Cock block for all time. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it was pretty huge.
I'm like, boom, I'm going to make this. You might have messed with him in life, but not in death, sister.
Rose McGowan, everybody. I'm gonna close it
You're
out. Yo,
awesome. And can I get your information or from Adam, so I can talk to you about the remix and like really talk to you. I'd
absolutely,
love to connect.
absolutely, absolutely.
Great.
I'm gonna send you that right away, and
I'll
I'll
WhatsApp you.
Instagram you and everything. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, okay. Oh, Rose
Now
McGowan, I love
you're
you.
here. Do, 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 do. Now you're gone. Do, 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 do. There you go.
Just like
Okay,
that.
honey. Just
Yo,
like that.
wrapping up another episode of the Quarantine Chronicles. I'm your host, DG Bags. Make sure you follow us at the Core 94 on Instagram. You can follow me at DG Bags. That's at DGBAGGS on Instagram. And make sure you tune into the core94.com. I'd like to say thank you so much to the hero, my hero, the inspiration, the filmmaker, you know what I mean, Miss Rose McGowan. Can you please tell them where they can find you, where they can pick up their Planet 9 and check everything out you got going on? Bravo, etc.
Yeah, thank you. You can go to rosemcgowan.com, MCGOWAN.com, or find me at Rose McGowan on Twitter, where I go hard. I have to be honest. It's not the most pleasant place. Instagram, which is like the softer side and the smarter side. Facebook, I don't know, but it's all Rose McGowan. But you can find Planet 9. Just put in my name and Planet 9 on Spotify, on Tidal, on Apple. It's also on Bandcamp, because I'm giving 20% of proceeds away to COVID relief, but it's going directly to domestic violence and kids that are in situations, and women and men that are stuck in a house with an abuser. Right now, with just the small money I've made off Bandcamp from the album, I'm housing 4 women and 3 kids in an apartment for a month in LA. That would otherwise,
Wow.
why they escaped their abusers. So if they could do that, the least I can do is that. So bandcamp.com, Rose McGowan, Planet 9, and you can also help donate to, this incredible charity that's a real boots on the ground organization that's doing God's work. And I believe that. And I believe we can all do God's work and be better than we have to be. So let's go do it.
Hi, my name is Jess Hughes. I am the founder of Citizen Pilates. What we've done here in the Heights in the past year has been overwhelming. The number of people that we have attracted in such a short amount of time has truly surpassed any expectations I ever had for this studio. Living in Houston my entire life, I'm very familiar with a lot of the boutique studios in town, and something that was very apparent to me was the disjointedness and the non-business fashion that a lot of places operated. And it was incredibly important to me to give a home to people who otherwise felt threatened or unwelcomed. Citizen is everything but that. It's so important that everyone feels included here, and that was my goal with Citizen Pilates. We have an incredibly diverse group of men, women, 18 all the way through 80 years old, and that's incredibly important to me to make sure that we have a little bit of flavor for everyone that wants to work out here. One of the things that really separates Citizen from a lot of other studios is our team of instructors. We have the best group of people here that any studio could ever ask for. I am constantly soliciting feedback from our clients day in and day out, and everyone loves that every instructor gives them something completely different. This is not cookie cutter choreography. Our team has full creative control over their lesson plan, over their stretching, over their music, and I think that everyone can find themselves here at Citizen. We have so many clients here who have truly made this a destination studio. We just don't serve the Heights. We have clients that drive in from Pearland, the Woodlands, Kingwood, the Galleria, Memorial, Meyerland, Katy. It's overwhelming to see how far people are driving. And while a lot of those people work in the vicinity, they're not working on the weekends, and they're still making a 30-minute drive to get here. And they're passing up a dozen other studios just to come be a citizen for the day. And that's important to us. We want you to be welcomed here. We want you to find yourself, find your friends, and find the strongest version of your body at Citizen.